What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to an episode of Opinionated with yours truly. I am Resla. Hopefully, you guys have been having a good day today. We are going to be having a bit of a conversation. It might be a bit of a page turner for you guys. And for some people, it might be a little bit of a sensitive issue, but that's exactly what we do here on Opinionated. If you're really new to the channel, I just want to feel free to actually invite you and just say thank you for actually showing up. And here on this channel, we have thought-provoking conversations. They could be trends, they could be news, it could be political, it could just be the regular things that we see as a problem. But most of all, when we're having our conversation, we have to really be on point and really asking something really important. The opinions that we're giving, the things that are leaving out of our mouth, the echo chambers that we leave from, are those the things that are coming out of our mouth when we open up, or are they authentically our thoughts? Now, today's topic is going to be about criminalizing obesity, or rather, I should be asking the question, is it a public health measure or is it simply discrimination? It's something that we are going to have to talk about here. As we start dissecting these conversations, again, it's going to be a little bit of a heated one. People are going to feel their way in a lot of different ways about it. But we're talking about something that's on the rise. And it's rather a thing with public discourse. And that is basically what I just said earlier, is criminalizing obesity. Some people out here are going to be looking at this like, seriously? Should we even be looking at this as something that we should treat on a criminal as a criminal offense? Now, that's a massive statement. It's a massive statement to make. Is it a public health necessity, or is it something that we can just look at as straight up discrimination? So before we get into the first segment, of course, I'm going to, thank anybody who just already walked into the door. Before anyone throws out their phones, throw their phone across the room, or they start screaming already about how this is some BS or whatever, or they start typing angrily in the freaking chat, even if this is you're catching a replay, start typing angrily in the comment section. How about we build the framework a little bit? We all know that obesity is a huge issue within the country. No, no pun intended. Especially during these conversations, I really want us to look at this with an eye of being curious, with an eye of really having an open-minded opinion, and not just want to be on a thing of a hit dog being hollered, because I haven't even said anything offensive, or at least not offensive to you yet. So if you believe that you are a person who doesn't believe that anyone should even have a conversation about the topic, then obviously you are not ready in your own development to even listen to anything that could be beneficial to not only you, but to anyone that you may know and love. The obesity rates are rising. The healthcare system is strange. But the question is criminalizing even an option? Shit is something that we should really be looking at. I mean, like I said, we think of the healthcare system and we take a look at the actual costs that are associated. So here's the deal. There are those who will argue that obesity is a personal responsibility. It's a personal issue, and that maybe society just needs to get a little bit tougher when it comes to their laws to encourage healthier living. I mean, you got places that ban certain foods, they limit junk food ads that are targeted to kids. And for some people, they say, why stop there? But why stop at those things? Why not hold individuals accountable for their lifestyle choices? Is criminalizing really the way to go, though? I mean, we criminalize drug use. Is obesity the next thing that's going to be on that list? What about in terms of public health? Now, there are people who just fall in that segment. But let's look at the other hand of that. People are in favor of this approach to argue that obesity is a public health crisis, right? You've got this rise of diabetes, heart disease. You got the cost of billions when it comes to healthcare. How do we treat it, or why don't we treat it as another form of public health measure? The logic is that if we can penalize people financially wearing seatbelts, which is still crazy when people get fined for seatbelts because it's not something you really think about, but it does happen. Why not penalize people who are unhealthy because of their eating habits that lead to obesity? Again, we're going through asking the question of that. I mean, some countries they want to start taxing sugary drinks. I know here in New York, when we had Michael Bloomberg, that's exactly what he started doing. He started trying to ban like big sodas, banning trans fats, or another thing that people try to do in other states. So could fines or penalties for maintaining an unhealthy weight really be that far off? Is that really any difference than charging people for charging people for extra when it comes to like insurance because they're like a bad smoker? I mean, and let's be real. These public health crises, it costs us a lot of money. You're higher in taxes, higher healthcare premiums that people have to pay. So should the burden fall on more heavily on those who are contributing to these costs, or should there be another way that we leave it alone? Or let's just get into the next part. Should we be looking at it as strictly discrimination? And is it just discrimination in disguise? Now, here's where things get a little bit murky. They get a little bit murky to me. You've got this other side of the argument where people say, hold up, this is straight up discrimination. These people don't choose to be obese. They don't choose to be obese in the same way that someone might choose to pick up a pack of cigarettes. And there are some socioeconomic factors that contribute to it. There's a matter of genetics. There's a matter of mental health issues. There's a matter of food deserts. We do have those things that we have to look at that come into place. I guess the question that pops up in my mind from there is, how exactly do you police that fairly? Does fining or criminalizing obesity just targeting low-income people, low-income communities, people of color? How about those who don't really necessarily have access to the most healthiest of options? I mean, are we gonna start throwing people all in jail because they ate too much? They ate too many Big Macs. It's easy to tell someone to lose weight the same way how it's easy to tell someone to gain weight. But if you live in one of these areas where you get fresh produce, where basically fresh produce seems like it's a myth, and the closest thing to vegetables is basically French fries. Yes, you can get on McDonald's fries too, but we're not having that conversation today. But the question is it really fair to penalize people? And let's talk about the slippery slope argument of this, right? Here's something to think about. Where does it stop? If we criminalize obesity, does that open the door for criminalizing other health issues? I mean, what about the people who drink too much? What about the people who don't exercise enough? At what point do we start punishing people for how they live their own lives? And who decides exactly what's right and what's wrong when it comes to their personal health? Is it the government's role to control our bodies like that? People will say, it's for the greater good. Is it really for the greater good? Or are they just finding another group of people to basically point the finger at? Obesity itself is a complex issue for a lot of people because there's no one size fits all. And the thing about it is that once you start going down that road, the question is, who's next? People who have a hobby of being bikers? People with chronic diseases? And what about the aspect of personal responsibility? I'm not saying that personal responsibility doesn't matter. I'm not saying that whatsoever. It does. It very much does. You've got to make your own decisions. Should society bear the full cost of those decisions? I mean, let's look at the flip side of that, right? Should we let our government or anyone really tell us how to live our lives? And most of all, penalize us when we don't really live up to the ideal image of health? And what about the mental health or the emotional toll for treating obesity as a crime? That's real too. You have to really take that into account. And think about this. How does someone who already struggling with their weight feel about it when society says, hey, by the way, not only are you unhealthy, but also you're a lawbreaker now? Is that really the direction that we all want to go in? So what do you guys think? Is obesity this public health issue that needs to be held to a stronger and maybe even a legal way? Is that the only way to really put forth an intervention? Or is this just another way to stigmatize or even discriminate against people? I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are on this, because it's a wild topic that's really moving across the entire globe. And this is the thing about it. There's no easy answer. There's not. You can't deny that obesity is a problem. but how far are people willing to take it in order to solve it? Is criminalization the answer? I have my own personal thoughts, but this is a conversation that we can all have together. So, guys, that's gonna be our episode. I know it was gonna be a little bit of a controversial conversation. I know people are gonna be listening to a lot of this, and they're gonna be thinking, I'm not really with it." Maybe some people got into their feelings or whatever. I would agree also with Marcus and the fact that people really should get on their weight as well. Hopefully, you guys will come up with some conversational pieces for your own or how you particularly felt about this particular episode. Maybe you'll even go about answering some of the questions yourself. Do you think that maybe there should be some penalties or some fines against it? If not, who should really be taking a better process when it comes to trying to help regulate? Because obviously, people are not necessarily doing it for themselves. Do you believe that necessarily just because you're a person who might be in that category of obese, or you may know somebody who's actually in that area, should they just be able to do whatever? And in terms of insurance, what do we do about that? What do we do about the health insurance costs or whatever? This has not been an episode about necessarily ragging on anyone who may be obese of any type, but rather it's been a conversation about health in general and what exactly do we do to encourage what I hope to be a very productive conversation between people. And if you feel like there's an opposite end of that you're not necessarily too cool with it, or there needs to be an other side needs to be addressed, you can feel free to reach out to me at a lot of different mediums that I have. Guys, I do appreciate you guys for being here. This was a bit of a long one. Hopefully this is an episode that you can take something from, or at least if you're not having a little bit of a head scratcher, you can bring it to other people that you speak with. And if anything, if you haven't liked the video, be sure to actually subscribe if you haven't already, and of course share this with anyone that you think might be interested in having some information or a thoughtful conversation that could be rather beneficial. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and of course, stay